So here we are, Tool Time with Dan. Okay.
That's the sound clip we have.
All right, there you go, listeners.
That
You
was
got
it.
yourself a sound clip. All right, so we use these Fence Hogs. We've got a couple of them by EZG Manufacturing, the big orange ones.
We've got a couple homemade ones.
We do have, well, do we actually still have any?
I saw one the other day.
I saw one the other day too, but it was mangled because someone ran it into
Oh, wow.
the beam underneath.
So
one
there's
of our
a
roofs.
couple. There's one that's built out of like 1 3/8 top rail. That's like a cage.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing that's basically just a steel pallet with a couple of, there's actually, I think, one post in the center for the spool of wire. And then there's smaller posts around the outside that are like 2 3/8 or 3-inch diameter pipe for barbed wire.
No, actually, what that thing is, we did a job that was like 120,000 feet of field fence, and that's what that is. So you could carry multiple rolls of field fence on there at once, and you just take, one from your magazine and put it in the chamber, so to speak.
Cool.
So that's what that one was. But yeah, so we have handmade or homemade some like wire spinners in the past, but none of them work quite like this Fence Hog does. Specifically, the big thing is like the Fence Hog, you open it, you lay it down over the roll of wire and you close it and it picks up the roll of wire for you. And then it's got a large bar out of the side. So as you're driving down the fence line and it's feeding the wire out, it has a bar that keeps it off of your machine.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you don't want your,
otherwise,
don't want the
who's
wire
doing that? A man?
Right. You don't want the wire dragging down your tires or your tracks or anything on the side of your machine.
Right.
And so it has that bar that keeps it held out for you. And then that bar has little teeth. You pull a lever and those teeth flip out and they lock into the chain link so you can stretch it with the machine. And so it has a lot of features that there may be some homemade ones out there that do have features like that. Our homemade ones did not have those same features. So it's really cool. I remember we first bought it. We were doing this big job for the Department of Transportation here in Tennessee.
Do you know how much these things cost? Speaking of first buying,
around 10 grand.
10 grand. So,
or just shy of 10,000, something like that.
And how many men do you think it takes to operate? Obviously, one's driving.
Yeah, and then you want one like lifting up your wire and hanging it off the top rail behind. So you need at least like a couple.
Right. I'm just thinking like smaller crew. Because we think that a crew can stretch 1,000 feet a day with this, right? Say a poster already set, you go out there.
So what we did was that job that I was talking about, that DOT job, when we first got these, we sent some guys out with them and it was like, oh, hey, let's see how this thing works. And we sent them out there and it was a crew and they're like, oh yeah, we stretched 1,000 feet today and it's tied off and done. And we're like, huh, there might be something to this thing after all. And they didn't come in here like hunched over with their back hurting. Remember the video I played for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't come over with like all hunched over.
We didn't need no tools back in my day. We did it all by hand.
Right.
Because we're men.
And so, man, I mean, it's pretty cool when you can just put an attachment on the front of your machine and these guys go out here and they just stick up 1,000 foot of wire a day and rock and roll. So hold on, let me back up. So the Fence Hog, let me just say the one piece of it that I wish we had is the tilt plate. All right. So if you get on something where you're on a slope and your posts are level and your machine is on the slope, it leans the Fence Hog out away from the post. The tilt plate, I think it's like another $4,000 or $5,000 option to add on there. But I think we're going to buy at least one of those. And that way you can tilt the whole Fence Hog to be in line with your level post. It's not something you need every day, but when you need it, like it's a pain in the butt to get that wire pulled
behind over. The wall on
that's the DOT job I'm talking about.
Sure.
Yeah. So
we acquired a lot of new tools for that thing.
We did.
That job was crazy.
It was. We put up 10 miles of fence through swamplands at the bottom of a, 35-degree hill that was 150 foot tall or something crazy. It was madness. We had a mini excavator out there just to pull our skid steers out of the mud when they got stuck every 10 minutes. It was crazy.